The morning sun cast long shadows across the training yard at the Naval Special Warfare Center in Coronado. Lieutenant Sarah Mitchell adjusted her uniform collar, scanning the 24 recruits standing at rigid attention. At 32, she had earned her trident through years of brutal missions, one of the few women to complete Bud S and later transition into elite combat instruction. "Today isn't about strength," Sarah announced, her calm voice carrying across the open yard. "It's about control, awareness, and split-second decision-making." The recruits, men and women from different branches, shifted subtly, feeling the weight of her words. Sarah's gaze paused briefly on Ensign Jessica Reeves, daughter of Admiral Reeves. Her resolve reminded Sarah of her own early days. Behind Sarah stood Master Chief Ortiz, her longtime teammate from multiple classified deployments. He carried a case of training knives, rubber replicas weighted like the real thing. "Pay attention like your life depends on it," Ortiz told the class, "because someday it will." Sarah nodded. A thin scar on her forearm, the aftermath of an ambush near Kandahar, was a silent reminder of what real combat looked like. What the recruits didn't know, today's exercise had been specifically requested by Naval Intelligence. A terrorist cell had reportedly developed new close-quarters techniques designed to counter American training. Sarah's job wasn't just to teach, it was to evaluate, adapt, and prepare these recruits for tactics no manual had yet recorded. As she demonstrated the first defensive stance, she noticed movement at the far perimeter fence. A dark sedan rolled to a stop in an area where no vehicle should be. Her instincts flared. She caught Ortiz's eye and gave a subtle tilt of her head. "Pair up and practice the basic stance," she told the class, maintaining complete composure. She stepped aside with Ortiz. 3 o'clock, unauthorized vehicle. "Security should have stopped them at the gate," Ortiz muttered, reaching for his radio. Before he could speak, the radio crackled sharply. "All instructors, security breach at main entrance. Possible hostile elements. Implement lockdown procedures." Sarah's pulse quickened. 24 unarmed recruits. Open ground. Only one weapons locker nearby, too far, too exposed. "Master Chief, move them to the equipment shed. Quietly, I'll handle this." But then she saw them. 4 men in maintenance uniforms approaching in a coordinated formation. She recognized instantly, because she had used it herself during special reconnaissance missions with Colonel Mel Tenizal. Too precise, too prepared, too wrong. "Change of plans," she told the recruits, her voice steady. "This just became a real-world scenario." She positioned herself between the approaching men and her recruits. More figures emerged from behind a building, cutting off Ortiz and the class. The tallest man, clearly the leader, smiled coldly. "Lieutenant Sarah Mitchell," he called, "your reputation precedes you." Her mind raced. His accent was Eastern European, but his tactical movement. "American trained. Inside job." One man opened a heavy toolbox, revealing a remote detonator. "We've secured the perimeter," the leader warned. "Cooperate and nobody dies." Sarah signaled Ortiz through micro-gestures. "Buy time, protect the recruits, identify weaknesses." The leader pulled out a training knife, identical to their equipment, except this one had a real metal blade. "Restrain her." 2 men grabbed Sarah's arms. She didn't resist, not yet. The leader began slicing her uniform, controlled, calculated, psychological intimidation. The recruits watched in stunned horror. He pressed the knife against her neck. A thin line of blood appeared. "Tell us which one is Admiral Reeves' daughter," he hissed. "Last chance." The base alarms finally blared, echoing across the yard. The leader tensed. And that one tiny shift of balance was his fatal mistake. Sarah exploded into motion. In a single fluid movement, she twisted away from the blade, crushed the nerve at his wrist, and sent the knife skittering across the ground. She slammed him face first into the dirt. The two men holding her froze just long enough for her to elbow one in the solar plexus and sweep the legs of the other. "Now," she shouted. Ortiz launched himself into two attackers before they could draw weapons. The recruits snapped into the defensive formation Sarah had drilled into them. Jessica Reeves stepped forward, leading three recruits to take down one attacker using Sarah's own techniques, perfectly executed. The remaining hostiles panicked and sprinted toward their sedan. Sarah chased the leader. Despite her torn uniform, she closed the distance. He slashed wildly, but she slipped inside his guard and disarmed him with flawless technique, pinning him to the ground. "Who sent you?" she demanded. He spat blood and laughed. "You've won nothing, there are others." Moments later, Lieutenant Audie Murphy's rapid response team arrived, securing the attackers. Medical teams treated the injured. Admiral Reeves arrived within the hour, his face pale as he embraced Jessica. "You saved more than these recruits today, Lieutenant," he told Sarah. Sarah responded quietly, "Sir, they knew too much. This was targeted." Intelligence would later confirm the threat, a network infiltrating training facilities to learn and counter American techniques. 2 days later, training resumed under heightened security. Jessica approached Sarah after the briefing. "I've been assigned to Colonel Tangastal's counterintelligence unit," she said. "They said you recommended me." Sarah nodded. "You kept your head when it mattered." 6 months later, Sarah learned that her actions, and the intel gathered, had helped dismantle multiple hostile training camps. Her techniques were now standard across special forces. The scar on her neck had faded to a thin white line. As a new class of recruits entered the yard, Sarah touched the scar and whispered her mantra. "Stay still until the moment to move, and then move with everything you have."